"I believe I made my grandfather proud," a quiet line, yet it echoes far beyond a single moment. Now place that beside another detail, Lady Louise Windsor receiving something once held by Queen Elizabeth, tied, indirectly, to Camilla's name. It sounds like palace drama. That's what draws attention. But the truth is more subtle, and far more intriguing. There's no explosive confrontation in the records. No shouting, no public fallout. Instead, the real story moves in silence. It revolves around a 22-year-old woman few notice, a royal will sealed until 2112, and the precise, almost surgical decisions Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip made about trust and legacy. Compare what was quietly directed toward Lady Louise with what may one day reach Camilla's children, and a different kind of tension begins to surface, not loud, but unmistakable. It doesn't appear in headlines. It lives in land registries, in sealed courtrooms, in documents the public will never fully see. Stay with this, because the deeper layer is where it becomes compelling. No one will read this will. That is the point. The foundation of this entire narrative begins with a fact that makes everything harder to verify. Queen Elizabeth II passed away at 96 on September 8, 2022. After 70 years on the throne, her personal fortune, estimated by Forbes at around $500 million, included private residences, jewels, art, investments, and even horses. Normally, estates of that scale become public through wills. But not here. Royal wills are locked away, permanently concealed from public view. As noted by Lancaster University media lecturer Laura Clancy, these documents remain sealed, leaving both their contents and true value unknown. The High Court of England and Wales enforces this secrecy. In this case, the will is sealed for 90 years. That means it will not be opened until 2112. For most, the truth behind it will remain out of reach, hidden, preserved, and silently shaping everything around it. Experts point to a clear conclusion: the largest share of the Queen's holdings moved to Charles, Sandringham, Balmoral, the core of royal wealth. Some historians go further, suggesting he inherited almost everything. Not sentiment, but structure explains it. Under UK rules, assets passed from one sovereign to the next are not taxed. Power and wealth remain intact. The evidence aligns. Charles holds the centre. But the story doesn't end there. Queen Elizabeth had 8 grandchildren. Years of quiet moments, shared traditions, and personal bonds shaped those relationships. One granddaughter, in particular, spent long summer afternoons beside her, carriage rides, private sketches once owned by Queen Victoria, fragments of a world few ever see. And within a sealed will, there is always the possibility of something more, carefully placed provisions, invisible to the public. This is where the intrigue deepens. Not in arguments or spectacle, but in silence. In gifts. In memory. In decisions never meant to be witnessed. And then, there is Philip. His final gestures were anything but ordinary. After his death in April 2021, Lady Louise Windsor received something deeply personal. Reports revealed he left her his carriage, along with 2 cherished fell ponies, Balmoral Nevis and Knotlaw Storm. Even the 4-wheeled carriage prepared for his own funeral was entrusted to her. These were not random inheritances. They were deliberate. Some believe he chose her to carry forward his passion for carriage driving, a quiet passing of legacy, precise and intentional. He left these treasures to a 17-year-old girl who shared his hobbies, not his sons or other grandkids who would become king and queen. Lady Louise was one of his most comfortable relatives. Prince Philip expressed his affection precisely and without sentiment. His giveaways were supposed to send a message. Lady Louise drove one of his carriages in front of Queen Elizabeth at the Royal Windsor Horse Show in 2022, one of her last public appearances before her September death. A significant moment. Just months before her death, the Queen happily watched Lady Louise lead the Fell Pony Society Centenary Parade. She drove her grandfather's carriages. Due to the Platinum Jubilee, the Queen was visibly moved by this show. Consider that moment. A grandma in her dying months watching her granddaughter drive her late husband's carriage, which held his cap and gloves at his funeral a year earlier. Prince Philip picked Lady Louise to continue his legacy, and the Queen observed it one last time. Nobody understood the Queen's favourite grandchild's bond. Philip's gift was significant, but royal watchers had noticed Queen Elizabeth and Louise's relationship for years before inheritance talks began. In 2019, a royal insider told The Sun that the Queen enjoys Louise and James's time at Balmoral and has grown close to Louise, her favourite grandchild, followed by James. Royal news often mentions favourites, but this one is believable due to the facts. The insider added the Queen allowed Louise see some of Queen Victoria's Highland sketches, generally held at Balmoral and rarely seen. It was not a family reunion or public tour. Queen shared a private collection of historical objects she rarely shows, indicating trust and delight of Louise's company. Many people who know Louise outside of her royal identity describe her demeanour in ways that explain why the Queen feels this connection. Carriage driving trainer Sarah Howe, who competes with Louise, told Hello! You wouldn't recognise her. Her name is Louise. She remarked that Louise works hard and solves problems as they arise. Lady Louise Windsor has never attempted to be the most famous royal, which may be her strength. The monarchy confronts challenges, and her quiet, humble approach may be what the public needs. Louise declined princess treatment at 18. Over summer breaks, she worked at a garden store and competed in carriage driving, preferring anonymity. At Balmoral, she packs a book and walking shoes. After seeing all of this, the Queen shared access to her special treasures, what the sealed will likely contained, and why Balmoral matters. Discuss crucial details. Sandringham and Balmoral Castle are owned by the monarch, unlike Buckingham Palace, Holyrood Palace, and Windsor Castle. Balmoral was Elizabeth II's inheritance. King Charles III, her eldest son, owns it after her death, but the trustees manage it under specific agreements. Charles owned Sandringham and Balmoral, as documented. This legal element is often overlooked in reporting. Balmoral has multiple buildings. The royal family has lived in 150 lodges, cottages, farm buildings, and private dwellings across 53,680 acres. Individual Balmoral estate structures can be privately gifted, distinct from the main estate bequest. Prince William received Tamnagar, a 3-bedroom Balmoral home, straight from Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. A Balmoral cottage can be gifted as a personal gift, distinct from the larger estate. If the Queen Mother could give Tamnagar to William, Queen Elizabeth could have left any Balmoral structure to anyone, including a granddaughter who spent summers there looking at Queen Victoria's private designs. Royal news sites are reporting Queen Louise obtained a Balmoral cottage, but reliable journalism has not confirmed it. No one outside the family can read the sealed will. The precedent for giving arrangements exists. Family bonds that support this decision are real. Camilla's family's role and potential gains. Tell me about Camilla's family. It affects their relationship with the royals. Start with the facts. Camilla's first married children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopez, are not royal heirs. They can't inherit royal land or money or wield royal titles. That is undisputed. Tom and Laura have their mother. As queen, Camilla can attend official events and royal palaces that her children cannot. Access does not imply ownership. A family with stringent inheritance rules values this difference. This is confirmed and important. Camilla recently gave her Wiltshire property, Ray Mill House, to her children. Camilla bought this property after her 1994 divorce from Andrew Parker Bowles. Official documents show that her son-in-law Harry Lopez and financier Jake Irwin, representing her daughters Laura and Tom, own the house. Camilla's kids value Ray Mill House. Laura and her husband had their 2006 wedding reception there. At the 2025 Sandringham Flower Show, Camilla proclaimed it the best therapy in the world. Why does it matter? Camilla is thinking forward. She is married to a 77-year-old cancer patient. Her children will lose royal ties after Charles' death. They won't possess royal titles or residencies. Becoming ex-stepchildren of a deceased monarch. Camilla wants to give her children her private property while she can. Not rash. Very thoughtful planning. It contrasts Camilla's family security with Louise's blood relatives. Louise, the quietly rising royal hero. Lady Louise Windsor is in an intriguing phase. In recent years, she has been part of a larger story. Alice Lady Louise. On November 8, 2003, Elizabeth Mary Mountbatten Windsor was born. In 2026, she is 17th in line for the throne. She began studying English at St Andrews in September 2022. Scottish undergraduate programs run for years, thus she will graduate in summer 2026. Louise joined Taforth UOTC, the British Army's UOTC, in 2024. She is an Army Reserve officer cadet from 2025. In the Army Reserve, she participates in carriage driving and graduates this summer. She placed second in the novice pony category at the Sandringham Horse Driving Trials on June 27 to 28, 2025. Felix de Silva Clamp, Louise's boyfriend, is kind and supportive. He supports her but lets her focus on her ambitions. It doesn't sound like someone attempting to project royalty. Instead, she seems intent on forging her own life. Despite this, Lady Louise may become a full-time royal after William becomes king. One journalist suggested she could be an unsung hero who could boost the royal family's image. However, they observed that she would be insane to give up her privacy. Right now, she has everything. Conflict arises for her. She is ready for a royal role because to her grandparents' carriage, reputation, trust, and tranquil Balmoral summers. Her personality suggests she did not do it for that purpose. This person is perfect for a big role. All of this means what? Legacy, trust, and monarchy future. Finally, what I think this story is about. It's not simply property or Camilla's family's rivalry with the Windsors. It discusses inheritance from Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. Philip left his carriage and horses to Louise, not the future king. He chose a youngster who loved carriage driving and wowed everyone when she participated. This decision illustrates what Philip valued and who he trusted to keep something he liked. Last summer, Queen Elizabeth watched Louise drive that carriage in front of people. She showed Louise her collections and considered her a favorite. The Queen made her own will and deliberately included things. Royal wealth safeguards the monarchy. An official government paper indicates that the monarchy requires private funds to sustain its role in national life. Personal decisions exist beyond these rules. The Queen Mother gave William her cottage and Philip his chariot to Louise. People looked at the younger generation and said, "I trust you." Trust inheritance cannot be transmitted by documents or claimed by being near to the throne. Nobody can have it unless they earn it like Louise did by coming every summer with a book and walking shoes and appreciating the environment. Whether Louise becomes a queen or lives a simple life, she has something many in her family never have. The confidence of two of the most secretive British monarchs. What she does with that is up to her, which may be the point.